Hi, third graders. So today I'm going to read a story to you, and while I read the story, we are going to work on the important skill of visualizing. Visualizing is making a mental image in our head, okay? So think of the word vision. We use our eyes to be able to see. That is our vision, right? So visualizing is what we see in our head when we read the words of a book. This is very important because not all books have pictures, right? So as you read maybe a chapter book, you need to paint a picture in your head to match the words. It brings the story to life, right? It makes it a lot more interesting and it helps us understand the story a lot better, okay? So as I read, you are going to be using this page here. So if you do not have this out and ready to go, I want you to pause the video to go get it. You also are going to be drawing, so you can get crayons or colored pencils if you would like. You'll definitely need a pencil. Okay, so pause the video if you don't have it. And if you're good to go, you'll have this next to you, colored pencils or crayon, and a pencil. Throughout the story, I'm going to stop and I'm going to ask you what you visualized, what picture you painted in your head. And you are going to draw that picture in each one of these boxes, okay? So our page here says, I know that the picture I create in my head can change as I read. That is absolutely true. As we get more information, the picture in our head is going to change. It's going to evolve with the story, right? So the first thing you're going to do, I'm going to read you the title of the book, and in the first box here, I want you to draw a picture of what you see based on the title. So if you would like to close your eyes and picture in your head, what do you see, what do you visualize when I read this title? Okay, the title is called The Treasure. The Treasure. So I want you to pause the video and I want you to draw in the first box there what you see in your head when I say that title of The Treasure. Okay, when you're done drawing and you can add color, press play and we'll continue on. All right, so you should have drawn your visualization of the title, The Treasure. Maybe you drew a chest box with a bunch of gold coins in it. Maybe you drew a bunch of money. Maybe you drew something that you treasure that's really important to you. Okay, so when we think of treasure, we usually think of a lot of gold or jewels, maybe in a chest box or a treasure box, right? Well, this is the picture on the cover. I wonder if any of you drew something like this. Probably not, right? So this book is called The Treasure by Yuri Shultsevich. As I read, you can listen along. There's some pages that I'm going to hide the picture as I read the words to you, and you will draw your visualization, okay? There once was a man, and his name was Isaac. He lived in such poverty, that means he was very poor, that again and again he went to bed hungry. He lived in such poverty that again and again he went to bed hungry. And there he is. One night, he had a dream. In his dream, a voice told him to go to the capital city and look for a treasure under the bridge by the royal palace. It's only a dream, he thought when he woke up, and he paid no attention to it. There he is sleeping in his tiny little bed, in his tiny little room, because we know he lived in poverty. He was poor. The dream came back a second time, and Isaac still paid no attention to it. When the dream came back a third time, he said, maybe it's true. And so he set on his journey. So there he is leaving his town, going on his journey. Okay, I'm going to read the next couple pages to you without showing you the pictures. I want you to visualize, make a mental picture in your head. What do you see when I read these words? Okay, so if you want to close your eyes as I read, that's perfectly fine. When the dream came back a third time, he said, "Maybe it's true." And so he set out on his journey. Now and then someone gave him a ride, but most of the way he walked. He walked through forest. He crossed over mountains. Okay, go ahead and open your eyes, and I want you to draw in the second box what you see, what you pictured in your mind as he went on his journey. So I'm going to reread, and you can start drawing, and then you can pause the video and finish your drawing and come back when you're ready. Okay. Now and then someone gave him a ride, but most of the way he walked. He walked through forest. He crossed over mountains. So go ahead, if you need to pause the video, you may, to finish your drawing of what you see now on his journey. What picture did you see in your mind? Okay, if you're continuing playing, it means that you finished the picture in the second box there, and I will show you the pictures from the pages I just read. So there he is on his journey. It said most of the time he walked, so maybe you drew him walking. He got a ride sometimes. And then it said he walked through forest and he crossed over mountains. So maybe you drew some forests and some mountains. Okay. Finally, he reached the capital city. Well, based on what we read, we know the capital city is where the royal palace is. It's where he thinks his treasure is. So in the third box, I want you to draw what you visualize when you make a picture in your mind, the capital city. So I will reread that little bit and you draw a picture. Finally, he reached the capital city. You can pause the video if you need to have extra time to draw what you picture about the capital city in the third box here. Okay, if you're playing, it means you finished your picture. Let's look and see. Wow, looks a lot different than from where he's from, right? So there he is viewing the capital city. It's beautiful on the water with the boats and the bridge. Looks like there's the royal palace, maybe, very high. Lots of beautiful colors and homes. There's even a big wall surrounding it to probably protect it. So that is the capital city. But when he came to the bridge by the royal palace, he found that it was guarded day and night. He did not dare to search for the treasure, yet he returned to the bridge every morning and wandered around it until dark. One day the captain of the guards asked him, "Why are you here?" Isaac told him the dream. The captain laughed. "You poor fellow," he said. "What a pity you wore your shoes out for a dream. Listen, if I believed a dream I once had, I would go right now to the city you came from, and I'd look for a treasure under the stove in the house of a fellow named Isaac." And he laughed again. I'm going to read that again. "You poor fellow," he said. "What a pity you wore your shoes out for a dream. Listen, if I believed a dream I once had, I would go right now to the city you came from, and I'd look for a treasure under the stove in the house of a fellow named Isaac." And he laughed again. We know his name's Isaac. He's talking about his town. That's the dream the captain had. Isaac bowed to the captain and started on his long way home. He crossed over mountains. He walked through forests, Now and then someone gave him a ride, but most of the way he walked. At last, he reached his own town. When he got home, he dug under his stove, and there he found the treasure. There he was digging. So the treasure was where the captain pictured. In Thanksgiving, he built a house of prayer, and in one of its corners, he put an inscription. That means like a carving that said, "Sometimes one must travel far to discover what is near." If he didn't go on his journey, he would have had the treasure underneath his stove the whole time and he wouldn't have known. So he needed to go to the other town, the capital city, to talk to the guard to come back and know where to find his treasure. Isaac sent the captain of the guards a priceless ruby. It's a big red gem. And for the rest of his days, he lived in contentment and he was never poor again. Okay, so for your last visualization where it says what I see at the end, I'm going to read again and I want you to draw what you picture. In Thanksgiving, he built a house of prayer, and in one of its corners he put an inscription. Sometimes one must travel far to discover what is near. So I want you to draw a picture of what you visualize when you think of his big, beautiful house he built. Okay, so pause if you need to. If you're coming back, that means you finished your drawing. Here's the picture the author drew. Looks like a big, beautiful home, right? And he made a house of Thanksgiving, so he's there to give thanks, right? So that is the story, The Treasure. I love this book because it has a really good lesson to it. The theme it teaches us is that sometimes the most important things are right under our nose, right? Not that the treasure was the most important thing, but to a poor man, it really helped him, right? That he found his treasure. So it was right under his nose the whole time. He just needed someone to help him realize it. All right, very good job.